Is my engine bad? Yeah, we're not wasting any time with introductions or anything like that. We're just gonna get straight into it. Is my engine bad? We don't know. So I didn't take any pictures, but I did get a Blackstone analysis done of when I first drained the oil, and there was high lead content. So they quantified it as somewhere around 35 parts per million or something like that. High lead I've seen in running cars that were like sort of healthy was like 7 or 8 ppm. That's high lead, right? Mine was 35. So they said that's not normal. Okay, I said, well, it's the first oil change. Maybe it's whatever. It's supposed to have glitter in it to some extent. Well, we did one oil change, brought it on the dyno, and the engine did well. I mean, it made, 190 uncorked or whatever, and that's fine, right? Met cap. When I drained the oil, it had gold flake in it. I got some great recommendations from my buddy Jay Kerper, who you saw in one of the last videos about getting my free K-swap for this car. He's been around in the Honda scene for probably decades at this point, if not over a decade, like 15 years or so. He recommended a couple things. Drop the pan and inspect for big chunks, right? Seal it back up, put the pan back on, assuming that it's not catastrophically failed. And then put some oil through it and, run it at, 1,000 to 2,000 RPMs or so, shift it through the gears, and then just flush it. Let's get this started. So naturally, the first thing we had to do was pull the oil pan. I am not used to pulling oil pans on a K-Series because they are completely sealed with RTV to the bottom of the girdle. But I wanted to be very careful with this oil pan. It was, an oil pan from a reputable manufacturer, and I didn't want to damage it because it was a little bit expensive. I think around $340, $350 or something, brand new. As opposed to the B-Series stuff where you just kind of weld in a knockoff Mugen baffle or whatever. So I took a very small amount of heat to the flanges and a dead blow and pulled the oil pan off. You can also use like a crowbar, a small crowbar and a screwdriver, but I did not want to bend the flanges and then risk having an oil leak down the line. So again, just trying to be very careful here. Eventually did get it loose and at the cost of looking like a complete and total noob. But, perfection takes time, folks. What? What happened? Yeah. That'll clog up a, wow. Oh my God. I'm not even sure how that happened. What? Yeah, well, that's why my engine nearly... you gotta be kidding me, dude. Oh my God. Oh my God, dude. This is insane. Wow. I've never seen this. The good news is there's not too much stuff in the strainer, but there is some stuff. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I imagine that they bought an OEM oil pan and welded to it, and the paint is just bubbled up everywhere. I mean, everywhere, especially in the most critical part where the pickup. I mean, look at that. This is very serious. This is bad. Brand new motor, folks. Brand new motor. Brand new oil pan from a reputable company. Oil samples done, changed oil. And even with all of that, wow. That's crazy. So, of course, the next job was to see what other destruction laid beneath the baffle in the oil pan. This is kind of tricky because I'm, an engineer by degree, and so I want to know the exact reason why it failed, but I also have to be careful about pulling apart a product that a manufacturer sent me before talking with the manufacturer and getting all the data that they want. With that being said, I did speak with the manufacturer of the pan, and they said, go ahead and, inspect it if you want and send us some videos and pictures, because evidently this manufacturer had put out over 2,000 of these pans without ever having experienced this failure. So they wanted to see the failure. I wanted to see the failure. I figured it was a win-win situation to go ahead and record it and help them out with their manufacturing process and quality control. In return, they helped me out. They're going to be sending me a new pan. But yeah, you can see the paint bubbled up real bad. It's from the aftermarket pan itself. And when you peel the paint up, there's this like copper-ish material, oxide material impregnated in the bottom of the paint. I suspect that's from an oxide coating on the metal itself, because when I rubbed the brown metal, it became silver. So that tells me that there's probably like a rust or something underneath of the paint. They didn't prep it right. I've never seen that before. Typically, when I put together an oil pan for a B series, because I've never done a K series, I actually am using usually 100,000+ mile pans, 100,000 miles being like optimistic because I live in the USA, and in the USA people drive their cars until they fall apart. I've always used OEM pans, and I've always welded in my own baffles, and I've used flux core, and it worked fine. But I always sanded the paint all over the pan just to see if it was flaking up at all, kind of like this. Occasionally, I found that they can flake up if they're very old, beat up. But yeah. Anyway, I talked to Mitch over at Unit 2 Fabrication, and looks like I'm the lucky guy. Mitch and Andy Smedergaard from ASM, Andy Smedergaard Motorsports, they both said that they have never seen this. They said it's an exceptionally weird failure, and Mitch said that he has sold 2,000 of these pans, over 2,000, and he said that this is the first time he's ever seen something like this. Super nice guy, super helpful, so shout out to Unit 2 Fab. I'm really not quite sure where to go at this point. If you'll remember earlier in the video, I talked about dropping the pan and seeing if anything looked bad, and if it didn't look too bad, putting it back on, running the car through the gears, and trying to clear up any potential machining material left over from the newly built motor. But it looked so bad that I decided that I would just pull some rod caps, connecting rod caps, to see what the bearings looked like. I wasn't expecting perfection, right? I mean, the metal has to come from somewhere, but I was just hoping that it was like a minor wipe. The crank wasn't too bad, and I don't know what I was expecting, but that wasn't the case. So, I mean, I don't know where the foreign material came from. I don't know if it was the suction being clogged by the paint or if it was assembly issues, but it didn't look good.
All right, y'all. We're back in the layer of wonders. Hard to see, but the crank is pretty scratched up. And this bearing is bad. I mean, you can't catch a fingernail in it, really, but it's bad. It's bad. It didn't spin either, so there was some sort of contamination that got in there. This is the number, I believe, number 3 bearing, so that's bad. It looks like we spent $2,000 for a dud motor. And it could have been the oil pan, it could have been anything, but let's see that. It's hard to see. It's all scratched up. And that is, see, it's all, I've seen motors with 200,000 miles that look better than this.
Bad and good is subjective. I get that. I worked with turbo machinery in industrial environments for a little while, and whenever we saw bearings that looked like that, we typically called them wiped, and we serviced the equipment while we had the time. So I'm going to count my blessings here and do exactly that, because yes, I could probably flush the oil system out with some cheap oil and make it work because there was no rod knock. But with the cost of everything nowadays, including speedy dry for any track cleanup, I'm just going to count my blessings and we're going to fix this the right way. I got smoke coming off my head. Bald head life. But yeah, that's our brand new motor, folks. Next plan of attack was to pretty much immediately go to a Japanese domestic market importer of engines and vehicles and pick up a spare motor. Rocket Man. Na, 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 na. I said, I think it's gonna be a long, long time. Said, I think it's gonna be a long, long time. Let's bring this bad girl into view. Bad girl. Yeah, so I saved y'all the pain of watching me pull this thing apart. But it's looking pretty clean. That's the good news. A lot of these bolts still have the zinc coating on them. Yeah, we got a valve cover gasket kit. We have a 50-degree VTC gear on order, used one from eBay. And then we have a used RSX Type S pump kit as well on order. So let's get started.
Down, just crank it.
Let's try to borescope this thing. I just dropped a tray of bolts. But yeah, so this is a cheap little Amazon borescope, and we're just gonna see what's in there. This is what I'm seeing. Looks like it's still got cross hatching in there. One thing that I don't like, if you look there, so you can see there's a little bit of that carbon deposit coming off. That'll burn off though. OEM bottom end. Cylinder 1 looks the cleanest. Cylinder 1 looks immaculate. I mean, if you're ever curious as to what an immaculate cylinder looks like,
The cross hatching on all of the walls looks like this, but this side doesn't even have carbon deposits. So we already had this valve cover off at the importer. Yeah. I had friends that told me they were like, run it just like this. I definitely could. But this needs to come out. That's the VTC gear. This is the economy one. So it only does like 25 degrees of cam advance. But yeah, it looks clean. I think I'm gonna get the pan under this now, flip it over, and then look under the oil pan. Take this oil pan, put it on that car, that motor, then we can drop that motor out onto a dolly. This wouldn't be the first time that I've done something like this. Some people say that I'm very smart. Those people are wrong. But yeah, we're gonna clean that up. And then, yeah, rookie mistake. Even when it's drained, you should check. This pan is pretty beat up, but luckily it's just for show, I guess, right now. Doesn't look nearly as bad as the other one does. So I think that I think this one might actually be okay. Usually they are. Usually the JDM motors are in good shape. So I would have been surprised if it didn't work, because when you buy cars from the Japanese auction and you part them out, they usually come with good running motors. So I would have been surprised, like I said, if this motor was bad. We're still gonna look underneath of it and play with the caps on the rod bearings, see if it's got play in it, but it looks better than the other one. Straight off. That looks good. That's what I expect to see on an OEM bearing. That's what I expect to see. I'm not opening the rest of them. If the one furthest from the oil pump looks like this and they all feel good, they're good.
It is 12 a.m., boys and girls, but we got the timing cover off in preparation for putting the oil pump on. Unfortunately, this is like the Accord motors where it has this little bump here. So I have to cut the oil pump to make it fit. The CRV in there, you don't have to do it for, but that motor is apparently junk. So we're going to have to cut the pump, and then we're going to have to put a new VTC gear on. And so we had to take the timing cover off. This thing, dude, I mean, like, I've never had a crankshaft pulley come off that easily, but, you know, when the motor is, I guess, you know, from a good area and whatever, it was like, it just came right off. And, yeah, the oil, like, all these filters and stuff, and the VTC solenoid, I think that is, like, all good, you know. But, man, this pan was just, the prep work was so bad from China. But so we're just in the process of making sure all of the paint that could come into the motor is peeled out. And it's a process, but Unit 2 made it right. They are sending me, you know, an aluminum pan in the mail at some point, hopefully. We also cleaned up this valve cover. So we're going to run OEM silver goodness. I'm going to miss the Chevy, but the Chevy It died, y'all. The Chevy died. Ugh. Good morning, y'all. I'm going to wrap it up here. Executive decision. We will be pulling the old motor from the car and then putting this new motor in the next video, I think. But I hope you enjoyed watching this. And if you have any suggestions on, content, like what I should be doing, or if you have any questions or comments, just let me know. I'd love to hear from you. It's been a pleasure. Take it easy, y'all. EJ2 Track Rat out.